Good morning, friends, and welcome back to the channel. I hope that everybody is doing well today. Before we jump into today's video and I take you along for my shift at the urgent care, I wanted to take a moment and let you know that I do have another 3-day review coming up for the nurse practitioner licensing exam. As you guys know, on the side, I do some boards prep courses, and I have another 3-day live review coming up. So it's going to be on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of this month, so January, and they all start at 11 a.m. So it's a 3-day review. Each day you're here for about 4 hours, and it's all online, obviously, and I lecture based on systems. It's very focused on what is tested on for your boards exam. So if you are a nurse practitioner student and you want to join me to study for your exam, and everything that you need to know to sign up for the review will be in the description box below. Make sure that you use the code ARCHERCARES, and I'll have that all there, but make sure you use that code because it gives you $30 off. So let's just jump in now to the regular video. Been a long time since I've done one of these clips where I'm about to head into work because I'm late. But I thought maybe I would try and take you guys with me to work today. We'll see how it goes. I wanted to film yesterday, being it was New Year's Day, and I knew it'd be interesting. And I got my booty kicked. I saw 47 patients by myself, and I had to go home and chart, and I was up all night, and I'm here first thing in the morning the following day. So your girl needs to get coffee in her body. And I see 2 people in their cars waiting for me to go to work right now, so it's always exciting. Yesterday there were 4 patients waiting for me when I got here, so but we were like one of 2 urgent cares locally that were open for the holiday, so I knew it was going to be super busy. I just didn't anticipate that many patients. So yeah, and today's, I guess, technically a recognized holiday, being that it's the Monday. I don't even know anymore. But so we don't have internal med. We're only in urgent care today as well. But I'm here all day, so this should be interesting. I'll try and take you guys along, but I gotta go to work. All right. Let's log on. And see what's going on. We can finish yesterday's charts. All right, well, we have 2 patients here waiting. So the MA right now is going to room them, and I'll see what they're here for. It's 9:02 though, so they were here before open, which is fine. I'm just tired and I want to drink my coffee. Hi, how are you? I should chart on yesterday's patients while they're rooming those patients from today. So this was a young, otherwise healthy, non-pregnant female who had polyuria and dysuria for 2 days. So as you can see here, this urinalysis, it lit up on all of its markers. And this is in part due to the fact that this patient had actually taken AZO, over the counter for the urinary pain relief. It's important to know that this can actually interfere, though, with the urinalysis. It causes false elevations in the glucose and the bilirubin. So just keep this in mind going forward. If you see a urinalysis light up like this, first ask your patient if they had taken AZO over the counter. I mean, she definitely had a urinary tract infection, as evidenced by her symptoms and the fact that there was positive nitrites and leukocytes on the urinalysis. So of course I treated her with antibiotic. I put her on 500 milligrams of cephalexin twice a day for 5 days. Told her to follow up with her primary care. It's also good to note here too is that if the patient were pregnant, cephalexin is safe in pregnancy as well. Also, I thought these were some interesting x-rays of a foot. So this patient had a mechanical trip and fall down 3 stairs. She reported landing really hard on her left foot. She had swelling, mild ecchymosis, bearing weight but was with pain, and she was tender at the base of the 5th metatarsal. And of course, we know this to be a very common site for fracture. So, if you look at these x-rays, it's not until you look at the lateral view that you can really get a clear view of the fracture. And so I always like examples of these because it shows how multiple views are so important when identifying fractures. Also, here's a zoom in of the oblique view just for completeness, and you can see you really can't see that fracture too well. So as the day went on, we were super busy, and the MAs, the medical assistants, were extremely busy as well, of course. So whenever I can, I do like to step in and help with their tasks because I definitely get how overwhelming it can be. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm priming an IV bag, starting a patient's IV. This patient had presumed food poisoning and had been vomiting all night, so I did give him a liter of normal saline, 4 milligrams of Zofran for nausea, and 15 milligrams of Toradol for his headache. Alright, so as you can see, I made it back home and I am absolutely exhausted. I know I kind of touched on it a little bit in the beginning of this video, but this is my second day in a row. I actually work tomorrow too, but yesterday was New Year's Day, and so today would be the Monday after that. And between these 2 shifts that I've worked, I've seen over 80 patients. So like that's exhausting in itself, obviously talking to that many people and just interacting with that many people just in general. And just trying to, sorry, my kids are at home screaming in the background, and just trying to give everybody still 100%. Even, you know, it's not their fault that they're patient 60 that you've seen in the 2 days that you've worked. And so it's just a constant, you have to make a constant effort to give everybody 100% because it gets exhausting. It absolutely does. But let's come back to what I was saying. So yeah, in these last 2 days, I think I've seen just over 80 patients. Yesterday was absolute insanity because I was the only provider on staff. It was a holiday and holiday pay, so they really only want to staff 1 provider, even though we are notoriously extremely busy on the holidays, being that we're one of the few urgent cares that stay open 365 days a year. And so, I mean, I'm happy that I get holiday pay. It's great pay, but it's also just crazy when you're the only provider and you have, you know, nearly 50 patients you have to see in that day. It gets pretty intense. I had to actually send 2 people to the ER yesterday. I did not send any patients to the ER today. And I'm usually not I really try to avoid sending patients to the ER if possible. I'm also not too naive to know that some people really need to go to the ER and I can't manage everything. But I do try. I try and really, if I can, keep people out of the ER because 1, I know that and they're so busy as it is. And if it's not truly emergency, if it's something that can wait, then I try to abide by that. I sent 2 people to the ER yesterday though, and when I do that, I like to try and follow up with them and see how things went for them. And so 1 gentleman I sent was a middle-aged man who had classic textbook hernia, but I was worried about a strangulated hernia. So he had had pressure in his groin for like the last 3 months, felt kind of heavy on the right side. Or no, it was the left side, I apologize. Kind of felt heavy on the left side. It was about 12 hours before I saw him that he said he felt an intense pull getting out of his car, and he was in pain at rest. But it was an excruciating pain with any kind of movement. And so when I went and examined him, without even having him like bear down or anything like that, you could see the bulge was there. And it was exquisitely tender to the touch. And I knew right away that he had to go to the hospital because he was going to need surgery for that. And so I sent him to the ER. And then I also sent a middle-aged female who had sudden vision changes. I was concerned a little bit about a retinal detachment. She had been experiencing floaters on 1 eye for less than 12 hours. And then overnight, she said she started to experience black tracing on that same eye. Very limited on what I could do there. We don't even have the tools to do, and I don't have the skills. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not an ophthalmologist. But I mean, obviously I was concerned about retinal detachment, and just anytime I think you have sudden vision loss, I mean, you need to have a consult. I'm not messing around with someone's vision. I don't want to be a reason that someone has permanent vision loss. So I sent her to the ER as well. I called, so I make a habit of calling the people that I send to the ER. I love to follow up with them and see that how everything went. And so I called the gentleman, and when I called him, he had answered from the hospital bed. They did surgery like almost immediately, so he was thankful. And then the female, I tried calling and I haven't heard back yet. So I'm waiting to hear from her. Hopefully everything went well. I think it's a good reminder that, you know, you can't manage everything on your own, and sometimes it really requires a higher level of care. And I feel like sometimes people give a little beef towards providers that work in the urgent care, like,
oh, just gonna turf it to the ER.
Which I understand. Maybe some providers do that. Maybe some providers are just like, they don't want to deal with it. Can't speak on everybody. Definitely not the case for me. Some things need to be turfed to the ER, my friend. And we're very limited on our resources. I can't do a full workup on anyone there, nor do I want to, nor do I want that liability. Like, they belong in the hospital on monitors with multiple specialists, not in the urgent care, turfing people to the ER. Like, no. Sometimes people really belong in the ER. A lot of times they don't. I do realize that. A lot of times people don't need to go to the ER. Sometimes they do though. And so those two I sent, waiting to hear back from the vision change girl. One thing I can say is, though it's not easy, you see a ton in the urgent care, you really do. Sometimes it's alarming what you see in the urgent care, but you definitely see a lot. I get a lot of variety. Actually, I have a student that starts on Wednesday with me, right? Yeah. No, Tuesday, because I don't work Wednesday. If you're a student and you can do a rotation at an urgent care, I would recommend it. I think that you see a ton. But yeah, so it's been a really couple busy days. I still actually have some charts left from today, but I just could not get out of there fast enough. But anyways, I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I'm going to go hang out with my family for a little bit, get my boys to bed, and then maybe chart or maybe watch some stupid TV shows. I'm really into like following like true crime, me and every other girl, right? I'm so basic, I know. But I've been watching the case with the Idaho murders and how they caught Brian Koberger. I don't know if you guys saw, he like did a Reddit thread asking people how they would commit a crime and what they would do and how they would feel after, and it's just wild to think how long he has been planning something like this. If you guys don't know, I have a bachelor's in psychology. I did that before I went into nursing, and part of me always thought maybe I would want to do psychiatric nursing, and then I worked in the ER and that changed all of that for me. Our system is so broken. Working in the ER, we had such a heavy psych population, and it was really, really tiring. I digress. Anyway, but have you guys seen that story? That is pretty